Hello, everyone. Dr. Lee here. This is a presentation that Dr. White and I did a couple of years ago, and I just wanted to run through a couple of key points from this presentation with everyone, um, with this idea that the problem statement is what you're working on this week. And so my hope is that this will, provide you some more guidance with what to do this week. Um, I want to first look at situationally, where does the problem statement go? Problem statement is after introduction and background. The problem statement actually ends with the research gap. Okay, and so I know this is two different tiers, problem statement and research gap, but essentially it's almost like it should be one with the research gap at the bottom of the problem statement. Okay, so you start off with a broader problem and you kind of very quickly funnel down to a gap that you identify in the literature. This is stuff that we've been working on for a while. And again, it's that situating your literature, your study in literature presentation that I did for you at Immersion, where all this starts coming together. Okay, so where we headed with the problem statement is that the problem statement is the underlying justification for the proposed research. And it conveys to the reader the importance of this problem, and it's a problem that not only are you identifying, but you're identifying through the literature. Okay, the pressing problem and the need that speaks to the urgency of it, and the thought here is you should have some seminal authors that situate your study, but those authors should be pretty recent work and not something from a long time ago. Um, so it points out briefly what is known and what still needs to be discovered as it relates to your topic. The problem statement should be grounded in research, and you need to present citations to support that. Now, accuracy is key here, okay? The bottom part of the problem statement, probably that last paragraph, is where you're going to actually make a compelling case for your study to take place. And whatever you cite there has got to be 100% accurate. I can't emphasize that enough. So let's take a look. I'll walk you through a couple of examples. Um, so this is a study on conversational leadership. And you can see what's been highlighted in blue. Employees need leaders who are willing to step up and lead. And then 68% of the workforce is disengaged. So therefore, when you kind of synthesize all that, right, 68% of the workforce is disengaged. It's imperative that leaders find ways to engage and motivate their employees. And that's something out of Friedman and Mandelblum. And a couple of other authors. But the idea here is it's a very tightly written paragraph with at least two or three citations that can be used to point to a need for your study. Here's another one on conversational leadership. And the world is changing, needs to lead consistently. How can the elementary superintendents lead transformational change? And that's an unanswered question. Okay, and then this problem statement funnels down even more and says one way is top-down communication, but if you're going to have two-way dynamic communication, what does that look like? There are some authors there. And then how can elementary superintendents lead transformational change and inspire the best work in others through two-way communication? So it funnels it down even more. And as we keep going with this particular example, newer topic of research studied by several researchers, and then conversational leaders, the potential for employee motivation, engagement, intimacy, interactivity, inclusion, and intentionally with employees. That's part of the framework. So now we're getting very, very close to the end of that funnel. Okay, so you can see we started broad, we're funneling down with every paragraph, and here we go. It ends with, and this is that tightly written last paragraph of your problem statement, is that there's minimal research on intimacy in the workplace, limited research on the other three elements of this framework, and then in the role of superintendents, While there has been studies done by some on transformational leadership, the application of conversational leadership by superintendents has not been studied. So here's that very tightly written last paragraph of the problem statement where everything comes to head, and this transitions nicely to this particular student's purpose statement and research question, which comes up next. Okay, so in summary, the problem statement summarizes what the problem is that needs your attention. It's a call for action, right? It's a call for action for your study to take place. It uncovers the gap that exists in the research. Um, and again, accuracy is key. You've got to cite these authors accurately, okay? It points to what's already known. It points to what is still unknown, and it leaves the reader transitioning to the next part of um, your paper, which is the purpose statement. Okay. Last thing I wanted to mention was review the rubric. The rubric is very clear on what you're going to be graded on, but look at some of the language here. Convincing argument, clearly stated, logical, and supported by literature. Okay, so in addition to the facts, the line of logic and how you present the facts and how you build your case for your problem is extremely important. And I mentioned the other day that this is probably that's this very last paragraph of your problem statement is probably the most important paragraph in your entire dissertation. You've got to nail it. You've got to convince the audience that a problem exists that comes from literature, and it should transition nicely then to your purpose statement, which would be the next section. Okay, I look forward to working with you on this throughout the week. Feel free to reach out and email or text or call, and then let's see how this shapes up by the end of the week. And if you have any questions, please to follow up with me in email. Okay, hope that helps.